Hey friends, I'm at the end of my first day of riding here in Portugal, and I've been asked to do a few things this week. One is to talk about the cool things I saw while I was out riding today, and the other thing is to talk about how one prepares for these types of cycling adventures, what things to bring, what things to not bring, how to make it all work, because I'm going to be traveling for most days from hotel to hotel. I get a few rest days where we get to stay in the same hotel for 2 nights, which at this point seems blissful because if you know me, I kind of hate packing and unpacking. But I'm going to save the how-to tips for a different video. I just want to talk about some of the things that I saw today here in Portugal and how our day was structured. So I started my day in Lisbon, which is where I flew into from Colorado, and I had typical hotel adventure. I stayed at a DoubleTree using all the points that I've earned from all my business travel, which helped take down some of the extra expenses. And it was a great adventure. Really amazing service at the DoubleTree here in Lisbon. But that was just the very start of my day. I took an Uber to the meeting point to meet up with my tour group. And from there, we took a shuttle to the south central Spanish border area in a really cool town called Elvas. And Elvas is the largest fortress city in the world. And I'll show some pictures. I can't really put it all into context. It's big, right? So I ended up cycling around this fortress city, trying to take a few really cool pictures. But it's a town that people live in, people drive fast through, and we're cycling out in normal traffic on cobblestones and through roundabouts, all of the fun things that one gets to experience when they're cycling in Europe. And that's what keeps bringing me back. I just love the charm of these adventures because it's unlike most things that I get to experience when I'm cycling in the States. And so Elvis, we started riding kind of in the middle of the day, just doing a test ride. So today was mostly to get comfortable with our bicycles, which hopefully I get to show you. I'm on a really cool Carbondale bike. It's an e-bike. As many of you know, I got my hip replaced last year, so I didn't want to take any chances going up the hills. So I have this really cool Carbondale bike, and I brought my own seat. So that's what the point of this video is going to be, is you really need to be prepared. So if you know that you're prone to getting saddle sores, or you're really particular about the way that your seat fits, you gotta bring your own seat. And so this time I'm riding on a V seat because it's an e-bike. I'm sitting pretty upright all day. So I figured bringing a V seat, noseless seat, for those of you that aren't familiar with that brand, would be the way to go. And it was awesome. It gets, you got to practice a little bit at first. It's tough to ride a 60-pound bike and not have a nose to work with. You don't realize how much you use the nose of your seat until you don't have one. But for these really long cycling days, I have a few days that we're getting above 60 miles of riding. It's going to be so much more comfortable, and I won't have to worry about any risks of using the provided seats and potentially ending up with a saddle sore or just generally not being comfortable. So that was the talk of the town. The tour guides here really like the noseless seats, and they feel that every bicycle, unless you're racing, should have one. But apparently they're really hard to get here in Europe, and they're difficult to import because they're expensive. And I'm be honest, they're expensive even in the US. So I'm really happy that I brought it. That's the one thing I will say I'm really glad I prepared ahead for. And I hope that you have the opportunity to try something like that if you feel like you just can't cycle because you hate the way that seats feel. Know that there are options out there, and I'm a huge fan of V-Seat. They're not, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I don't want you to think this is a commercial, but just really a fan of the brand. And I hope to report out by the end of this tour that it provided me the comfort I needed. So the ride today, again, it was a very short ride. By the time it finished, I actually was shocked that I was already back at the hotel. We did a big circle around Elvis, and it was very windy and not particularly pleasant. It's been really rainy here the last day and a half, and the wind, it's a headwind from every angle, as I'm sure all of you know as cyclists. That's the thing that you have to deal with from time to time. And so I have never been more glad that I decided to ride on the e-bike, because there was a giant hill and a pretty strong headwind, maybe 25 miles an hour. I'm not going to say it was a walk in the park, but it's pretty easy on the e-bike. About 85% of the people on this tour appear to be using e-bikes, whether they're the road bike style or the more traditional cruiser or upright style. It's just really neat to see this transition over time. And this is a little bit more of a challenging tour. If you've never been to Portugal, it's very hilly here. Everywhere you walk, it seems to be a hill. And while I was landing in Lisbon, I was looking out the window of the airplane and realized, yeah, this is going to be not a walk in the park. And so this is a vacation. I'm going to try and treat it like a vacation and have some fun while I'm here. The other big thing today, aside from what was about only a 6 mile ride. So today, again, just to get comfortable with the bike and make sure there wasn't anything that needed to be adjusted. Today was about eating, and that's how most of these tours go. And so Portuguese really love food and wine. And so we had a really nice lunch here at the hotel, a really great tuna salad, and just a chance to get to meet my tour mates, I guess I'll call them for the rest of this. My tour mates, there are 18 of us and then 3 guides. And so just a nice chance to get to chit chat, get to meet a few people, get prepared for the ride. And then this evening we had just the most amazing meal. And I'll share some pictures of that. Lots of different, salad and appetizer options. Because I don't participate in eating mammals. For those of you that know me, that's usually how I phrase what I do and don't eat. And I also cannot eat crab, so I had to make sure, those accommodations were going to be met. And so we had, for our main, a vegetarian option, which was absolutely fine for me. And it was a veggie burger. And the first few bites, we were all really convinced they had made a mistake and that it definitely was not a veggie burger. But it was delicious. And towards the end of the meal, it became more obvious it definitely was something along the lines, of an Impossible or Beyond Burger. And there's just something magical about the way that foods are processed here in Europe. And it just, again, felt very convincing that this probably was not the case. But it came with a really amazing hash made of like sweet potatoes and mushrooms and a few other veggies. And we had this amazing dessert, which I'll share a picture of. And it was a dessert, it's called a roof tile. It's sort of an almond crisp shaped in, as one would imagine a Spanish tile for a roof. And it came with this custard-based ice cream that tasted strongly of cinnamon. It was amazing, obviously very homemade. Just a really nice chance to chat with my tour mates, get to know a few people better, and just really celebrate this adventure over food and wine. So follow me here over the next almost 2 weeks that I'll be cruising through the south central portions of Portugal, crisscrossing from one part of the country to another, and just really enjoying everything that southern Portugal has to offer. And of course, doing the thing that I love most, being able to ride on a bike outside. I don't care if it's raining. Tomorrow's going to be, pretty rainy. So is the next day. I don't care. I'll talk about the type of gear you have to bring for that. But the best thing is a day on a bike. And I also got to talk about cats. If any of you have ever had a chance to talk to me, the odds are strong that we've talked about bicycles or cats. And everyone knows my cat children are probably the most important thing. And I'm so glad that Ron's at home taking care of them. So stay with me. I hope to share really cool pictures and videos. Being on an e-bike, I can go at a slower pace and stop a million times to take pictures and still keep up with the tour. And so I can't wait to share all of the crazy things that are probably going to happen and all the really cool things I get to see. So far, the thing I'm most impressed with are the aqueducts that they have here. They're just astonishing. I've never seen so many of them. And it makes sense, with the nature of Portugal and how they bring water into their cities. And I'm just really honored to be able to share this adventure with you. So stick with me, and hopefully you learned something cool about Portugal, about doing bicycling tours, and about how to pack. Talk to you soon.